Hey guys, welcome to The Sports Entertainer. We have a ton of major wrestling news to share with you guys today, but before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you never miss out on an episode. We start off today's wrestling news with some big stories regarding CM Punk, who has clearly been on a roll in WWE in a number of ways since his return at Survivor Series, and the first thing we'll talk about is that fact that CM Punk has been doing some big business for WWE since his return, specifically when it comes to merchandise sales. Now, we all know that the likes of Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, and rising star LA Knight have been some of the top merchandise sellers for WWE over the past several months, but CM Punk has apparently broken some records with merch sales since his return. Now, according to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, over 6 figures worth of CM Punk merchandise was sold the day of Survivor Series, something that WWE obviously liked and were very impressed by. Here's what Mike Johnson of PW Insider had to say, quote, "One of the things that people in the company have been so excited about and so happy about is the word making the rounds is Punk sold t-shirts and merchandise. That first night he came back at Survivor Series, the word making the rounds last week was just the first night he sold 6 figures worth of t-shirts, and I don't mean money, but physical items in the 6-figure range." Now, this is pretty crazy news because when you think about one CM Punk t-shirt, you're looking at about $30, and let's say that on the low end of the 6-figure number of CM Punk merch sold that Mike Johnson was talking about, let's say 100,000 shirts were sold. That means just in that one day alone at Survivor Series, about $3 million of revenue was made by WWE through CM Punk merch, literally just one day, which is insane. So clearly Punk's doing big business for the company. Now, the other big news recently coming out regarding CM Punk is that the cult of personality clearly plans to be a part of WWE long term, even after his in-ring days in WWE are over. Because after his surprise appearance at the NXT Deadline show on Saturday, CM Punk was reportedly backstage during the December 12th NXT taping and spent the entire day at the Performance Center helping out the younger talent. Here's what WrestlePurist had reported on Twitter or X last night about CM Punk being at NXT, quote, "According to sources, CM Punk is backstage at tonight's NXT. He's been hanging out throughout the day and has also been giving talent feedback on matches this evening." Ibu of WrestlePurists would further add, quote, "Like I said on Saturday, CM Punk's long-term goal is to succeed Shawn Michaels in NXT. Was told he was buzzing last night, didn't sleep, and flew to Orlando. He'll be doing a lot of observing tonight, seeing how things work over there in terms of TV production." Now, some fan reactions to this news on Twitter or X, including this fan saying, "This time around just feels different. Love to see him experiencing everything within the company again and getting a feel for how things work. Punk taking over for HBK would be great for business if it were to happen down the line." With another fan reacting with, "Man, this is great. He just has looked so happy and with purpose. Wrestling is better with Punk." Mike Johnson of PW Insider would report that CM Punk was back at the Performance Center where he was training and holding court with some of the NXT talent, and that there was a lot of excitement when CM Punk made his appearance at the Performance Center and spent the day with talent. This wasn't something that Punk had obligations to do, it was something Punk wanted to do all on his own, which is the noteworthy thing about it. Now, could CM Punk actually be planning to take over Shawn Michaels' duties in NXT? Perhaps that's the case, although Fightful Select did report that any succession is a long ways off, because HBK has no plans to step down or away from his role in NXT anytime soon. Now, Hall of Famer Mick Foley was a guest on WWE's The Bump Show yesterday, and among the subjects that came up, the Royal Rumble was a highlight in the conversation, and Mick Foley hilariously teased entering the Men's Royal Rumble match next year in 2024, before he swiftly undeclared for the match. Here's what the legend Mick Foley had to say that has got wrestling fans laughing, quote, "My feeling is that 5 years running, I would say Royal Rumble became the second greatest show in WWE. All due respect to SummerSlam and the others, Royal Rumble, people get together and celebrate. It really makes people happy. So I'll be tuned in. Maybe no, here's the truth. I would have to lose 70 pounds just to be in terrible shape, so I'm not going to be in the Royal Rumble, I'm undeclared." Quite a funny response by Foley, and with him saying that he won't be in the Royal Rumble match, knowing that WWE tends to do the complete opposite of what superstars say, perhaps this means Mick Foley is confirmed for the Royal Rumble match as a surprise entrant. I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. We are fast approaching the 2024 Royal Rumble, and every year fans cannot wait to see which male and female superstar will walk away with the WrestleMania Championship opportunity after winning the men's and women's Royal Rumble matches, and we now know who are currently the betting favorites to win the men's and women's Royal Rumble matches next year. According to Betfair, CM Punk is the big favorite to win the 2024 men's Royal Rumble match, currently sitting at -225, with Cody Rhodes the next favorite at +300, and Gunther follows behind him at +600, so yeah, it seems like most feel this is a done deal for CM Punk. On the women's side of things, Bayley and Jade Cargill, who has yet to make her in-ring WWE debut, are the current favorites for the 2024 Women's Royal Rumble match, both sitting at +200, and behind those two is Becky Lynch at +500, and then Bianca Belair at +600. So clearly, the consensus is that either Bayley or a debuting Jade Cargill will walk away with the Royal Rumble win next month, and let us know if you guys agree with these odds, or do you see someone else as the deserving favorite for the men's or women's Royal Rumble matches. At one point, the Sanity faction, consisting of Eric Young, Killian Dane, Alexander Wolfe, and Nikki Cross, was one of the top storylines in WWE on the NXT brand, and when it was revealed that they would be joining the main roster back in 2018, fans were excited to see where Sanity would go on Raw or SmackDown. But we all know how that panned out. Sanity was absolutely buried on the main roster, and Nikki Cross is the only former member still currently signed to WWE, as Eric Young, Killian Dane, and Alexander Wolfe were all unceremoniously released over the past couple of years. However, during a recent Q&A with Fightful Select, Sean Ross Sapp was basically asked if it would be possible for WWE to bring back Sanity, and this is what Sapp had to say, quote, "Yes, as best I know, I could be wrong, but they're all able to be signed." Now, Fightful certainly weren't saying WWE are going to sign them and bring back Sanity, but it's entirely possible at the very least, especially considering Nikki Cross is still with WWE, and with Triple H in charge of things now on the main roster. When it comes to creative, perhaps Triple H will want to bring back Sanity, as Hunter obviously saw potential in the stable, as he helped put that group together in NXT years ago. Now Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer Radio put out this tweet on X a couple days ago, quote, "Things are changing greatly. Let's just say things changed greatly with Raw negotiations from a few weeks ago, and Punk is a huge part of the selling point." And this tweet not surprisingly got fans buzzing about what could be going on with WWE's negotiations for the next TV deal for Monday Night Raw, and PW Insider has basically provided some great insight on WWE's negotiations, of which could be disastrous for AEW All Elite Wrestling. Here's what PW Insider had to report, quote, "This past Monday morning, TKO's Mark Shapiro, as well as WWE's Nick Khan and Paul Levesque were in NYC at the Warner Bros. Discovery headquarters meeting with WBD executive Bruce Campbell about potentially moving Raw to the WBD family. Campbell holds the position of Chief Revenue and Strategy Officer. We are told that the WWE contingent met with Campbell for several hours Monday AM, with at least part of the meeting taking place in a conference room usually reserved for David Zaslav. Obviously, if a deal were to be made between those two entities, there would be massive ripple effects for professional wrestling, specifically because WBD's TNT and TBS have been the home for AEW programming since the fall of 2019. The belief is that AEW's current agreement with WBD runs through the end of the 2024 television season. Now WWE's TV deal for Raw with NBC Universal expires in October 2024, and the possibility of Raw moving to Warner Bros. Discovery would put All Elite Wrestling in a very bad spot, with Tony Khan likely having to look for a new broadcasting partner. Now, we don't know how serious these talks are between WWE and Warner Bros. Discovery when it comes to Raw's TV rights, but it's definitely a possibility at the very least, and that has got to scare Tony Khan and All Elite Wrestling. And when it comes to Meltzer's tweet about CM Punk possibly helping change the negotiations for Raw's TV deal, it's because Punk had said a while back in AEW that Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav was a big fan of his, which could help WWE's chances of working out a possible deal with the company. Regardless, this is some serious news that could spell disaster for All Elite Wrestling, and let us know your thoughts on these new reports. Can you see Monday Night Raw moving to Warner Bros. Discovery in 2024? And if so, do you think this would be a problem for AEW? Or could WWE and All Elite Wrestling sort of coexist under WBD? Well guys, that's it for today's major wrestling news. Make sure you leave a like and comment, and also make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you'll never miss out on an episode. Finally, if you haven't already, give us a follow on Twitter at TSE Wrestling, and we will see you guys in the next video.